The soil in our garden is so fine that the ground dries before the watering can has been emptied. Great for weeding, but hopeless in getting plants established. And no matter how many bags of compost I dig in, next day it's as if the ground has been covered by a Saharan sandstorm. Slight exaggeration, I know, but it's so frustrating in trying to maintain an English country garden. And no, I'm not into all this rewilding dry garden malarkey. And as other gardeners will be only too aware, it's not just the lack of water that makes plants struggle. It's the paucity of nutrients available for plant growth from dry, dusty soils. The other day I had had enough. Our lawn had turned a sort of sickly yellowish green, not Wimbledon-like at all. The lawn needed food. There was no point in dashing to the garden centre and buying a bag or two of lawn dressing. Just adding a dry powder to an already water-deprived lawn would just burn the grass off, unless I used the sprinkler to water the dressing in, which I try to avoid using. And so I decided to use a dissolvable plant feed and apply it with a watering can. It's a long job. My step counter tells me that it's about a mile walking slowly up and down and crisscrossing back across the lawn. And our lawn is not that extensive. And I found myself pondering the parable of the sower, the gospel reading for this coming Sunday. It's such a familiar story. Matthew even adds an explanation in case we miss the point of the parable. But as I was slowly walking up and down and back across the lawn, applying the grass feed with my watering can, I wondered whether Matthew really had written that explanation, or whether it had been added by an agitated scribe frustrated by church affairs, letting off steam by ticking off his brethren. Because it struck me that whilst feeding the lawn, I was paying particular attention as I fed the several scratchy patches of grass as a result of last year's scorching summer. In the parable, we are told how the sower scatters the seed across all the ground. The seed is spread not only in the good soil, but across the stony ground, the paths, even amongst the wild flowers. We are not told what the sower does between scattering the seed and the harvest. But I found myself wondering whether the sower spent longer tendering the plants that were struggling than those growing in the good soils. Just like the good shepherd who abandons the flock to seek the one sheep that was lost. I don't know about you, but I do know for myself that there's a lot of thin patches of soil in my life. Hopefully some good rich soils as well. But I'm much more comforted by the thought of the sower tending the rough patches in my life than spending time on those areas with the potential for a 100-fold yield. Just an idle thought as I fed my lawn.